Welcome to the Heartfelt Conversations with Iskra and Despina. And today we are thrilled to offer you a topic that we face so many times throughout the year, so many times even throughout the day, but we don't always notice it. And it's the topic of change. Despina, how did this topic come for you? I know that we talked about in the community. Actually, it was one of the questions during the Joyful Jam that we ran in the Show Up community. But I think we kind of intuitively are attuned to the messages, or we create space for the messages that want to be expressed. And it's very interesting when I go back, I see that every year around this time, it kind of comes up spontaneously. So how was it for you? Did anything trigger it, or it was just your intuition or inspiration?
It could be intuition, but I think what happened this morning, because I had a beautiful meeting with some colleagues and healers, and we were talking about some things happening. And then I looked out the window and I said, "Oh my God, it's cloudy, like autumn is here." I'm like, yeah, every 3 months, the seasons are changing, and we're going through the seasons change, let's say. I think I've seen this with myself. Like, I've had my spring, I've had my summer, my autumn, my winter. So I wanted to bring this to all of us who are listening, and maybe you can reflect on your seasons, even how tight they are, how often this happens, if this is a cycle that you are honoring, because I think we all need to honor these cycles in our lives.
Yes, yeah, honoring the cycles and remembering that the end marks a new beginning too. And we, as you said, we are witnessing, it's so visible, the change of season. Of course, in the countries where we have 4 seasons, there are other countries where the seasons are only 2, and yet we still can see it's so distinct. The shifts, it's not actually a shift, it's a transition. It's almost never an abrupt thing. It's kind of having a preparation and then going through the transition and then feeling the fading away, and we're already in full season. And if we take it like that, I think sometimes we don't notice the actual change happening. How do you feel about it? In the seasons in life, we are preparing to grow, or we're preparing to move on to the next stage, and then all of a sudden we are there, and we can only see the change, or we can acknowledge the change and the symptoms of it from a distance.
Well, sometimes, like you said, it happens without noticing. And but other times it's more conscious, or more like I put myself into it. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna go through a winter, which could be for me, for example, doing some shadow work or doing something else that is deeper, because there is something that needs to be released. And during the winter, or even during spring, you're planting new seeds, and suddenly, maybe next week you realize you're doing something creative, and you can say like, "Oh, where did this come from?" But it was maybe linked to the plant, to the seed that you planted a week before. Or I don't know. I want to ask our audience maybe what season they're recognizing themselves they are in, and what season are you in right now?
Yes, it's interesting. First, it's interesting to pay attention and to be conscious about the fact that we are going through seasons, and maybe someone has not thought about it. Maybe it's just the flow of life, and we start somewhere and we get somewhere. The cyclic nature of experiences, even the changes of mood, is something that can help us when we become aware of it, when we start noticing it. We may find our seasons even throughout the day, the seasons of spring and growth and inspiration and excitement, and then the need to rest and gain our power back throughout the night, like this microcycles or bigger cycles. It's something that we obviously honor. We don't force ourselves unless we need to do that for a project, urgent project. We take the time to sleep, so we recuperate and we feel good again the next day. And this is with the hibernation during winter, but sometimes the cycles are longer. They're not necessarily connected with the seasons of nature. Looking back, let's say 6 years back, 7 years back, 12 years back, it's interesting to see, to observe, to analyze what has been happening with my life. Why every 7 years something similar happens. For instance, I have recognized 7-year cycles in my life and in my work, in my professional work, even in relationships. And this could be seen for me only after the period has passed. So only based on experience, I could understand that this is actually what is going on. So maybe this will help me navigate the next cycle better while I'm looking at what has happened in the previous cycle or in the previous 2-3 cycles. Obviously, this is not really applicable for very young audience, because I know that we have 20, 30-year-old people who are watching us and listening to our message. Maybe you can discover some other shorter cycles that may help you spot some patterns, knowing about which will help you in planning, let's say, moving abroad or embracing a new professional expression or a new career. So if you ask me about my cycles, I can spot 2 or 3 cycles that are now taking place. And let me see, it's 2024. It's actually, I'm closing a cycle in my professional expression. And that's really interesting, because just yesterday I took some important decisions. And you offering us to have this conversation today exactly on the topic of change, and now getting even more deep with the concept of cycles is something that I'm excited to look at later after our conversation and see, okay, how the new cycles, because it's not just one, the new cycles will start. And for the people who are more visual, it can help you even draw the different cycles, draw the bigger cycle, and then draw the smaller cycles, maybe 2-3 years. You will see how many times and how often, what was the frequency of changing job, or for those of you who are still in the same professional expression, in the same career, or in the same business, maybe you are launching your new programs or projects or services with certain frequency. Look at your relationships. How have you been going through your relationships when the big changes were taking place? Do you see any cyclic nature of them? It's really fascinating to see how we are pulsating with life, or life is pulsating through us. And I know that some may ask, is this not trying to put us in boxes? This is a very popular concern for people who are into personal development or growing their self-awareness, when they discover certain patterns that are related either to personality, or there's so many tools and systems that we use, like the soul map that you are a mentor in, or archetypes, or enneagrams, or anything that helps discover more about who we are. People are often hesitant looking at these systems because they are afraid that they will be put in boxes and they will be looked at the same way as anybody else who is in this particular category. But looking at your personal experience, at your personal journey, and trying to spot the patterns and discover the cycles, it will help you that actually we go through certain patterns, and it's not something that is imposed from outside. It's our nature, the way nature around us is going through the cycles. So this doesn't mean that we put nature in a box. We're simply discovering some natural laws, and we don't go against them, but we choose consciously to follow them. So what do you think about it?
Yeah, exactly. I think even in our bodies, I don't know the term. It's not circadian rhythm. It's something else. The body needs to rest every 90 minutes, even though we don't listen to it because we need to work or we need to produce, or maybe we're in a 9 to 5 job where maybe taking a break is not possible. But just even looking outside the window and just gazing would be beneficial. And for me, after let's say receiving the training in the soul map, I was noticing, and there are energies that have cycles, some more than others. And these energies, and lots of people are not acknowledging it. It's exactly part of who you are. Like you said, we're not forcing nature. Nature will start, the leaves are going to start dropping in a while here in the northern hemisphere. Nature is going to hibernate because it needs to rest. And we live in this fast-paced world where people are asked to do more, to produce more, to be more efficient, more effective, to launch, to promote, whatever. And we forget that change is inevitable, and we are kind of resisting change. So when our bodies are telling us, okay, you need to stop now, and we're not listening, there will be a way maybe later for us to stop somehow. Maybe a back pain, maybe, I don't know, a traffic jam that will kind of make us, okay, I'm sitting here now stuck in the traffic jam. What do I do? Maybe take some time to reflect. I think I lost the the train of thought.
That's okay. Like losing the train of thoughts creates space for something new, new to come. While I was listening to you, what came up for me is that everything comes down to accepting who we are. And it may sound disconnected from the topic of change, but now I am going to show you how it is connected. People are taught to do things in a certain way. People, starting from the little people who go to school, and we are trained to disconnect and not listen to our needs, or we're trained that listening to our needs is wrong. So when our body wants to rest, we don't give it the chance to rest. Our bodies, the bodies of the young kids or even the older kids, they want to sleep in the morning, but we force them to get up because we have to take them to school. In the evening, they want to rest, but they have to do the homework. So we push to stay late at night, and then it goes against nature. It goes against our rhythms. So why self-acceptance and self-awareness is really important is for us to learn to trust our needs, our feelings, to honor these needs, to acknowledge the voice of the body and of the mind. Very often, it is also the needs of the mind to rest and not be constantly in pressure. So many people in the online space are showing off by their nonstop working day and night. So developing this consciousness, I'm feeling tired, I need to listen and I need to take a rest. And the deadline Maybe I could do it. I could push myself a little bit more, but not do it on a daily basis. Like this is what is really tiring and emotionally tiring. And for many people who start working in a job on a project that is really exciting, creative, amazing, great, after doing it for a long time, they start wearing out, and then the job is not anymore exciting. The nature of the work is not anymore exciting. The inspiration wears off.
This is why now I subscribe to energy management and not time management.
Yes, this is a different perspective. I think this shift of perspective is really needed, and the awareness of it, of the importance of managing how we feel, it's very important. And it goes, of course, along with learning how to manage time and learning some supportive habits and letting habits that don't serve us wither, but acknowledging ourselves in our totality. It's not just the mind, it's not just the goals, it's not just the money, it's not just wanting to do something because we have set our mind to. Of course, this is important. Our mind is our greatest advisor, and there is so much power there. But listening to the body, listening to the heart, remembering that we have the right to feel good, and from this place, initiating changes or following changes. And I always say, and my audience knows, and my clients know, do the easy step. Don't go against the current. Of course, sometimes it's needed, but as a general approach, connect with the cycles of nature. Connect with your own cycles. If you feel more inspired and more empowered to work at night, but check how your personal cycles are. Feel when you are powerful to initiate change and to perform change. Do not pressure yourself when you feel weak, when you feel confused. Nothing sustainably good can come out of that. You may survive not literally, obviously, and sometimes maybe literally too. You may manage a situation by forcing yourself, but if you do it for a very long time, you may first lose your connection with yourself, and you will learn to function on an autopilot. And then all the other things that I already mentioned, loss of inspiration, loss of confidence, not feeling authentic, not feeling purposeful, not feeling truly alive and connected with other people. If you are pressing yourself too much, following some externally imposed frameworks, needs, deadlines, modes of acting, and something that is disrupting your inner natural flow. So let's share some tips with our audience about how to navigate change. Do we need to prepare for change? What are the best things, the best tips that you would like to share?
First of all, I would say, since we were also talking about energy management, is to maybe try to map out your day and see where you are, let's say, most productive, where you have high energy. So that would be, maybe this is your spring or summer in a way, if I can use the term of the seasons. And if you want to put some more work there, you can do it. And I think accepting that change is inevitable is very crucial, and not resisting it when it's coming. I don't know if we can ever be, if I can, for talking for myself, I can ever be prepared for change. I know that, consciously or mentally, when I prepare, let's say, new launches or new projects or everything, I'm there, and I know I'm changing, or something is changing in my work, something is changing. But the energetic or the inner change, sometimes it comes without noticing, without expecting it. And this is where you need the self-compassion and the acceptance, or even, if I can use the term, forgiveness, to see that this is what it is now, and how can I navigate it in a better way for me, for my highest good, let's say. What do
Yeah,
you think?
I think these are all great points, and it's true. But this internal preparation, this is what we actually need. And my advice would be to work on this self-awareness and self-acceptance, starting from listening to the inner judging voices and learning that they don't have the last words, that these judging voices that are telling you should be doing this instead of that, you should be working harder instead of taking a nap, you should be focused on generating or scaling up your business instead of taking time for vacation with the family, whatever there is. I'm giving very simple examples like as opposition. The spells of self-awareness is the first point, or the first base where many things become possible. Working on understanding who we are, and sometimes this could be really painful because sometimes we may make discoveries that go against things that we have believed for years, for decades, or since childhood, or what we understand may go against what our family or society imposes to us. It takes courage, but it's really rewarding because then it brings us to a life of more authenticity. Today, I was listening to an interview with an influencer in marketing, and I generally think that there are no recipes for that, but I liked what he said. He said that acting the way you think and the way you speak, this is one definition of being authentic, or acting the way that you would if nobody judges you or if nobody sees you. So coming to this point to really be so well connected and accepting of who you are, then you are able to navigate spontaneous changes or transitions, like natural transitions, or you may evoke or plan for changes. For me, the biggest preparation is this one. Get to understand better yourself, get to understand better your strengths, get to understand your weaknesses, and then take measures to learn maybe new skills, to be more fit or healthier, work on your emotional health, on your mental health. This is the best way to prepare. And then be open to spontaneous changes, be open to flow, be open to surprises, positive surprises. And anything else is just part of the growth.
And of course, there is, this is for a whole new episode, of course, there's the element of fear and the element of control that we are not accepting, or we're resisting this change happening. And like you said, I think the identity that we used to be, or things that we used to believe, sometimes when we see that they're slowly fading away because of the work, the self-awareness that we have developed, it can be pretty scary, letting them go.
Definitely a topic for another conversation. Yeah. Witnessing the identity fading away. I went through this process a couple of weeks ago. I was mourning my old identity. And this is not something that can be controlled. It had to be let happen. But we will leave you in curiosity and expectation. And I would love to hear from you. How are you navigating change, and what did you take from our conversation with Despina today? So we will see you in our next